Hello, YouTube. J Bob, the video game slob. Oh man, why am I doing this? Coming at you from the deepest, darkest basement part of the dungeon here. That is the collection. I don't know, the backstock. I don't know what this is. The pile of failure and misery. This is the dark side, and that's why we're in the dungeon, I guess. Video game collecting, buying, and being a video game slob, I guess. So yeah, I source this stuff from just the dregs of the earth often, right? Garage sales, flea markets. If people ask me what I do, I say I'm a video game collector, investor, and dealer in that order. Thanks to Chris Sewell for that statement, right? I collect video games first. That's how I got into this. Um, I would say I invest second. I'm buying a lot of games to put away because I think they'll be more expensive in the future. If I'm buying collections off of people, I'm taking out the games I need for myself first that are for the collection. If I think they're going to go up in value in the near future, I'll take those out. I'm an investor. But the third thing I am is a dealer. And that's how I pay for most of this is selling off those doubles, selling off, I don't want to say the common games, but those desirable games, your Marios, your Crash Bandicoots, those kind of things, the Gods of War, all that sort of popular stuff that people like, and getting those into the hands of other collectors. And the thing is, a lot of times I'm going to be selling those cheaper on Marketplace or in the antique mall that I operate out of, cheaper than other people can sell them. And so I like to get those into the hands of other collectors. Make sure you're not having to go to estate sales and make the connections that I make and buying, big $1,000 four-figure and higher deals, and making those games available to kids and collectors and that kind of thing. But the thing that most of these people are going to tell you when you go to church rummage sales and all these kind of things is if the stuff works. And so many times, they'll tell you it worked the last time I plugged it in. Of course, things are great. And so these are all the tales of woe. And I can, hardly remember all of them. The thing is, you get better over time at fixing these things, the controllers, the consoles, doing the minor repairs that you need to do to get to profitability, to get to keep the games that you want to get for free or for some sort of profit, to buy the lots of games that they say they're all in there, but they're only boxes or these kind of things. And so here you go. That's what today is. I was moving things around today, and here's the thing. I will sell these. I'll get these back onto the market because there are people that will fix things. Just because I can only do laser replacements, I can only do, I don't know, drive swaps or these kind of things. Take things apart, for the times that kids shove things into Wii's, get those things taken out, get them back together again. But I don't know how to fix red rings of death. I mean, I do, but they never work long term, so I don't screw with that. These doors and the springs for, PS1s, they just don't sell well enough for me to bother with any of that. I don't know how to do micro soldering on Xbox Ones. Anyway, I don't want to go into the list of things I can't do. That list is a mile long. I can do 72 pins on the NES down there, but some of these things have larger issues. But again, these will go up for sale. I've sold some stuff. Maybe I'll talk about that here in the next minute and a half. But we'll get these out. These aren't going to go into a dump. We'll make sure these get to collectors and move on. Anyway, so where we're at, here's some of the great tales of woe. This one was from like a week ago. The great Gears of War 3 edition of a PlayStation 2. I bought two PS2s, $80 for the pair of them. Oh, yeah, man, both work. Of course they do. It doesn't read any disc, doesn't work, and that's the thing with PS2s. And I should probably do long form videos on all this. If you're buying a PS2 and you can't test it out, one, the controller's almost never going to work. The membranes in those things are terrible. I would say 50 to 75% of all PS2 controllers just aren't working anymore. So a PS2 system with it playing PS1 and PS2 games and the DualShock 2 controller, they're just very uncommon. to have all that working anymore. But usually they'll play 1 or 2. This plays none of them. So that person was just straight lying to me right to my face. And you can ask questions. Have you tested it recently? Things like that to try to move them from does it work into those more needling details to get you to tell them the truth. But a lot of times people are just going to lie to your face. And so that came from a flea market where they lied to my face. But here's here's the deal on this. You can buy 2 PS2s. I think one or maybe both of the controllers worked out of this, but I think only one. One controller working. It was the slim that worked, not this fat. I'm still going to sell that for $125. So is the profit margin great? No. One doesn't work. One does. I paid $80. I'll still make $45 out of that deal. At the end of the day, that's no big deal. The slims, you can still get the lasers for relatively cheap. And so I don't know what all these need. Some of them may be power issues. Power, I've fixed a number of times on these here. If you look on the back of these jacks can get pretty loose. You can solder that back down pretty easy if that's the issue. The lasers are very easy to replace on those and relatively cheap. But from what I've heard lately is they're not doing new lasers on these. And so although it powers on, although it gets video, I've heard it's a pain in the butt to get those. A lot of these, here's kind of another trick. You're going to see, some of them are real games, but a lot of these are sports games. Again, you guys know if you watch this channel for any amount of time, I have a friend who owns a video game store. He'll kick me over all these terrible sports games that are kind of newer. Whenever GameStop offers a premium, and because I keep the GameStop Pro membership, they pay me a bonus on top of that. We'll take all these sports games into them. You can't really get much if you're an independent game store out of sports games. Just people don't buy them. And for whatever reason, GameStop will sometimes pay a lot and pay trade-in bonuses. And the other thing GameStop does, they don't pay you any difference whether it has the case or not. So these are always great for case swaps. Take them into GameStop. Give them the disc only. At least you got a case swap. That's worth 25-50 cents there on its face. Oh, man. I remember that Sega CD deal thinking, there's an extra $50 in that deal. That wasn't there. I still made a ton of money on it, but, just games like that that's, full of disc rot. I don't know. We'll talk about it as it comes up, but sometimes certain deals are done in a way that you can't check through everything. You just know it's a good deal. You got to move on. We see a Game Gear down over here. Game Gears always suck. If you're buying a Game Gear untested somewhere, you don't have 82 AA batteries when you're buying it, assume it does not work and needs to be recapped. And so that's one. Again, I don't recap those. I know other people do. And here's the thing. Even if I do recap it, the only way I'm going to get my money back is to put it on eBay. So now I got to pay that guy's fee. I got to put it up on eBay. It's easier to sell it to the people who do. Ataris, fairly rare to get an Atari 2600 that does not work. I have found Ataris underwater. I have found them in barns. I feel like you can find them on a plane. Ataris almost always work. But man, very rarely do you get one like that doesn't work. So that one needs to get fixed. A lot of the GameCubes, and I don't know, that might be the case with either of these, and I haven't screwed with them. It's been a while. I don't recommend this, but if you get a GameCube that spins up, it powers on, you get video, but it's not quite reading discs or having trouble reading discs, you can turn up the gain on them. There's a little screw in there that you can turn, and you can get them to work. It may burn through your discs. I certainly wouldn't test them with any valuable discs, and I wouldn't do it and then sell it to somebody else because I think that's unethical. But certainly people do. It's kind of a way to cheat the system. And frankly, it is a way, if done right, that does extend their life, but it's just not something I'm into. And people will usually pay me $20-25 for a broken GameCube. So that's not too big of an issue. The wall of Xbox Ones and PS4s. Oh man, these can break for a variety of reasons, whether it's micro soldering on the HDMI cables, whether they're locked due to accounts on them, either having parental controls or them doing something on the internet that makes them no longer viable. The power supplies seem to break on the fat ones. You turn it on, it turns right back off. Anyway, there's that. And keep in mind, like again, I said I've sold a number of these. And then here's a whole nother brick down here. You don't see a lot of original Xboxes in here because I have a guy. There's two, I think, one over here, one over there, that buys all those from me. They turn them into media centers, and so I think he pays about $15 if they have cords or something with them, pretty much all day. So anytime I buy one, I try to buy it in the $20 region with cords and everything. So when they work, they work. I do all the drives on them. I can do the drive belts, all that kind of stuff. But if the hard drive's mush, it's mush. Anyway, a whole tub down here. You know, this thing's filled top to bottom. We're at 11 minutes. I'm going to cut it off. But yeah, I don't know how many thousands or hundreds of dollars we're looking at here in games and in consoles that people said worked or that you take home and, you know, you think you're going to make money on and crush it, but you never do. So let me know in the comments, what deal did you do that you got crushed on? Oh, God. I'm looking at this. We didn't even talk about arcades, but oh, my God. Never pay money for 360 arcades. They're always red-ringed. They're always pieces of crap. But anyway, I'm losing the train of thought here. What have you lost money on? Let us know in the comments. It's not always a glamorous business. And you end up with a giant corner of 100 broken consoles. So, good night from the graveyard of shattered dreams. YouTube, we'll talk to you tomorrow.